Well, hey everybody, Alex here with my third pre-war pickup of the year, and this is a really special one for me. I have a shout out that I'm going to give at the end of the video, so please stick around for that. But yeah, this is a really unique card, and for those of you that have been on my channel for a while, you know that one of my focuses in my collecting is to get cards that for me capture the essence of baseball, the essence of American history. And this card definitely does that. This is the 1925 Turf Cigarettes baseball card, number 50 out of the set. And it features a mention of Hall of Famer George Sisler. So let's pull this thing up to the camera and take a closer look. This is just an absolutely beautiful artist's rendering of the game of baseball. I mean, obviously we're seeing somebody take a swing at the plate, but more importantly for me, this card captures the style of baseball at the time. The card was released in 1925, so it's very early 20th century baseball dynamics. The uniforms, the equipment, the stadium in the background, you can see some spectators, you can see beautiful trees, the sort of rural background that was so part of baseball as it was spreading around the country. And all of that is captured in the artist's work. It's bright, it's really colorful, and it just really puts you in that moment, which to me is a sign of a great baseball card. Okay, so let's take a look at the back of the card. Now, as I mentioned, this is from the 1925 Turf Cigarettes set, and this set featured various international sports with various records listed on the back. This was released in the United Kingdom. Now, what's interesting about the back of the card is that it describes Hall of Famer George Sisler, and he's listed as a record holder for the highest batting average in American League history when he hit 420 in 1922. Now there's an error because they use a comma here instead of a decimal point in his average, which is just likely a hazard of having a Brit write about baseball. But while the average and the year are true, Sisler's average was 420 in 1922, that of course is not the highest average at the time. That belonged to Napoleon Lajoie, who hit 426 in 1901 with the Philadelphia A's. But what's maybe more interesting about the back is that there's this brief mention about a $100,000 monument that was to be erected in Washington, D.C.'s East Potomac Park that would be honoring George Sisler and other baseball players. So what exactly is this $100,000 monument that the back of the card is referring to? So I found this information on a great website called prewarcards.com. The monument listed on the back of the card was an idea that had been kicking around for a few years. And of course you have to remember this is before the Hall of Fame had come into existence. The basic plan was to erect a monument where yearly records would be immortalized. But by 1924, the backing hadn't fully materialized, and so the idea was dropped. Of course, by 1936, Cooperstown arrived and became the answer on how best to capture and honor the great players of the game. And George Sisler himself would eventually get the honor that the card alluded to when he was inducted into the Hall of Fame 14 years later in 1939. Okay, so the big question, is this actually a George Sisler card? I think some people will say yes, that the scene on the front is supposed to be a rendering of George Sisler, so this makes it a Sisler card. I personally believe that this is basically a rendering of the sport of baseball that happens to have some Sisler records on the back. But you know what? Maybe it's both. Maybe it's a Sisler card and it's just an early 20th century tobacco card that depicts baseball. Either way, to me, it's an awesome slice of the hobby. So finally, I want to give a shout out to my buddy Max from Max at Jackson. Max has an incredible YouTube channel, but he also has an astonishingly awesome Flickr account where he has cataloged all of his cards from his pre-war collection, and that's actually where I learned about this card. I was looking through Max's catalog, I saw this card, and I knew I had to have it. So Max, thanks for the inspiration, and I'm going to put links to Max's YouTube channel and his Flickr account below, so I encourage you all to go check that out. Alright guys, thanks so much for checking out the video, take care, and I'll talk to y'all soon.